I had to laugh at the beginning of this episode, because it sounded like something I'd be saying, specifically our preacher man, talking about the hero's journey, and very easily being meta and telling us exactly what's going on. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Cloak and Dagger, Episode 9, Backbreaker. The regression episode, as they so carefully put it. So, last week we learned that Cloak and Dagger have their comic book powers fully. They're ready to go. Which, of course, like they said, means they need a rebirth. They need to showcase how they've grown. And that's what tonight's episode was really all about. Meanwhile, of course, we have the drug addiction coming up, which I agree that Tandy's drug habit probably was being forecast and shown to be still a problem, her addictive personality. But I'm not quite sure that I would go all the way of saying that was the analogy. Of course, tonight we see her relapse, along with Tyrone, as they say, falling back into bad patterns. So for those of you that don't know what I do here, I review stories like this, but I also come up with theories on how and why we tell stories. If that sounds interesting to you, you need to do me a favor and click that subscribe button to join our little community here. But right now we're talking about Cloak and Dagger. Maybe more Dagger relapsing than Cloak, although he had his own psychological journey this week. Another thing the teacher said was that the relapse is either because of something you did or because something was actualized, something that you thought you wanted but you didn't. I'm not sure I always agree that's the way the hero's journey works, but at the same time, I do see that now you have the strength to overcome. Your rebirth comes, as Cloak and Dagger found out, because the powers you have give you new capabilities, new insight in how you can look and how you deal with the world. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. So tonight's episode, Backbreaker, is all about breaking the back of each of the characters individually. Tyrone, because of the fact that his parents found out that he wasn't crazy all those years ago, and they seemed to not care. Tandy, because she found out that her father wasn't the person she thought he was last week. And both of these are part of the regression. Now, Tandy, I think, hits worse, but Tyrone does fall down a bit. Tandy learning that she can absorb the hopes and dreams of other people and get a sort of drug-like high off it definitely leads to a rather bad connotation of how these things are going down. The fact that Tyrone did not learn the same, that he could absorb the fears of others, at least makes that a little better. Tyrone's end, though, was still getting into fights with people that, realistically, he shouldn't be, especially with the powers that he has. But at the same time, we have the entire concept of the divine pairing, something they've hinted at a few times, but finally seem to be giving us some forward momentum. And of course, to talk about the duality of the storytelling even as they're split like they were at the beginning, we have the two church scenes. One with the preacher, one with the potential husband. And of course, that's the moment where they connect, and Cloak enters into Dagger's dream. It's very symbolic, the fact that she can't quite get it up to take that hope from her boyfriend. And at the same time, he can't quite grasp what it means to see the fear in the eyes of the person who he actually respects. But then, of course, things go even more crazy because Cloak and Dagger have decided to be at odds. Dagger goes to his school and is all like, "What do you want? You just got," and then puts one of those light daggers up to his throat, for God's sake. Meanwhile, we have Cloak. He doesn't understand. He got the confession. He's not crazy. He really is the person who was right. He told them there was a cop that killed him. So if all that's true, why oh why isn't everything back to normal? Maybe there's no such thing as normal anymore. Maybe that's part of growing up. Forget the hero's journey, that's just growing up. Normal's just a setting on the dryer. And at the end of the day, you're stuck with the world you've got, doing what you can, fighting as you can, to try to make sense of it, to try to make the world fit into your own preconceived notions. But the two of them, they've got power that no other person has. And with that, with the power of the divine duality, I wonder exactly what's coming next. Now, of course, next week we're going to learn a lot more about what's going on. Unfortunately, that's also the last episode. So I just want to really quickly recap that this show has been about inner turmoil. It's been about what it means to be a survivor, to have that survivor's guilt in order to have to push on when you can't. It's about a light inside you and a darkness within inside you, which is kind of why they chose Cloak and Dagger to make that work. And it's also about faith and power, and what it means when you have one without the other, or the other without the first. It's a duality in the way the stories are told, and at the same time, it's one consistent story all the way through. They don't even realize how much Roxanne is the supervillain yet. And of course, with the woman that knows the voodoo secrets walking around drawing those X's, I'm not quite sure exactly what's going to happen, but I think she's going to have to finally explain what the divine pairing is. And what do you think? With 1 week, 1 episode to go, any predictions on how this is going to end? Or where this is going? I'd love to hear your opinions, and put them up here, and anyone who's right wins 1 free internet. Way to go. But in the meantime, let me know what you think of the episodes, including this. And like and share this video if you approve, because I'd love to get some more subscribers, and that's the best way to do this. If you haven't yet, click that subscribe button. Join our little community as we try to explore how and why we tell stories. The next time you hear from me, it'll be about Wynonna Earp. But next week, I'll be back here for another episode of Cloak and Dagger. Thank you for walking with me through the heart of the stories we tell.